You know, the tactical shooter space is filled with a lot of really good games these days. Games like Tarkov, Rainbow Six Siege, and, the classic old faithful Counter-Strike. They all tackle serious themes with careful and rewarding gameplay. I grew up with straight up arena shooters, but when the modern warfare shtick hit the genre, developers rushed to create games dealing with grounded military-like strategy, precision, and weaponry. However, there's always been a distinct lack of games that dealt with the insane job that is being a police officer. The SWAT games are fondly remembered by some, but often fall into the memory hole. They feel like a meager footnote on this entire genre. That is until we got Ready or Not. This game makes up for that void in the genre by going so absolutely hard in the paint with this theme that a lot of the situations you're placed in would be, borderline traumatizing to your average SWAT officer. Like, a lot of the missions in this game are seriously heavy. This is fine as a game, however, because, it's a video game. But there's still just this one mission in the game that I always just legitimately felt uneasy playing. And it's not any of the obvious ones either. Today I want to talk about the mission, The Ends of the Earth. So the world of Ready or Not takes place in the fictional city of Los Sueños, which becomes apparent very early on in this that it's based on Los Angeles. However, in this alternate reality of sorts, the city is in a very rundown and crime-ridden state. Some might say that's just LA in general in real life, but, at least according to some of the stuff I see on YouTube, but I digress. Like, even the cops here are sporting neck tats, so they've seen some stuff. Plus, homelessness seems almost inescapable, and there's an ongoing garbage strike, just absolutely flooding the streets with endless amounts of trash. It often feels like this game is hinging right on that fine line between exaggerated fiction and the actual reality of our modern world. So with every Ready or Not mission, we get our briefing, and from the onset it's stated that this isn't our usual type of gig. We're out to arrest the Tran brothers and their associate Diego Perez. They are modifying weapons to make them fully automatic, and it seems that these brothers may be in over their heads, dealing with some serious criminals. The catch here is that they've fallen into this line of business out of desperation, as their mother has stage 4 cancer and the family hasn't been able to keep up with the insane medical bills they're incurring. As a Canadian, I find the plight of the less than well-off Americans that deal with the costs of healthcare to be, an absolute tragedy. This type of thing seems way too common. It blows my mind that someone could literally be bankrupted for life simply because they need some kind of procedure to, keep them alive. I mean, there's a reason why so many cheered on that dude who assassinated the health insurance CEO. Anyways, these boys are just trying anything and everything they can to help their mother, but what they're doing is illegal and they need to be arrested. The kicker here is that, their mother is the one that called them in. Yeah. The family finds it deeply shameful that their boys have resorted to a life of crime. So as an actual mission in the game, it's extremely straightforward. We're simply raiding this house to make the arrest. No other structures to worry about here, and generally, most of the time, all the suspects will be inside. There's a garage outside that can provide some jump scares, so don't forget to check it, along with that second story balcony. Sometimes one of the brothers will spot you from here and just start blasting. You can approach from the street on one side of the house or do an amphibious entry from the beach below the cliff. Avoid interactive would be neat to see a proper amphibious infill loading screen. The new one in Dark Waters with the helicopter was super cool. This entry from the beach really hits home the overall theme of decay in Los Angeles. Like, the amount of garbage just everywhere from the garbage strike is ridiculous at this point. This might be normal in some parts of the world or Cyberpunk's Night City, but it certainly isn't what you'd see in your typical American suburb. So the house is just your typical American 2-story house. Your entry points are pretty simple. You can go through the front door, an open garage, or a side entry into a rec room. Overall, if you're familiar with this game, it isn't a tough building to clear. The Tran brothers aren't particularly aggressive because, their parents are inside the house too. Yeah. I often find I don't end up in any prolonged firefights, and very rarely will they try any tactics like flanking. Though I have been caught off guard a few times when one of them ended up running outside. This is a game that will very easily punish you for every time you just assume an area is fine without thoroughly clearing it. So because this is just their house and not a barricaded suspects type scenario, you're not gonna have to worry about any booby traps like trip mines because, well, could you imagine your own dad mistakenly opening a door with a grenade rigged up to it?
Not a great plan.
The one point of entry to the attic where all the shady business is happening can be a bit tricky because you're at a major disadvantage with the low ground, and then clearing the attic is precarious due to all kinds of little hidey holes the suspects could be in. I especially love getting shot through openings in the walls. But like I said, overall, it's not a tough mission. Ready or Not is about using the tools you have. Flashbangs, tear gas, your overpowered AI teammates' aim, etc. I'm personally a C2 bang and flash kind of guy. You know, the average suspect in this game is usually pretty shaken up by the door in front of them exploding, followed by getting blinded by the lights of 1,000 suns. Generally pretty effective. Unless they're meth heads or cultists, and sometimes those people just don't give a damn what you do. As you go through the house searching for evidence, you'll come across quite a few things that really paint the picture of the tragedy of this mission. Things like the mountain of invoice overdue letters on the kitchen counter, or one of the son's attempts at laundering money via online gambling. But one of the most heartbreaking moments is clearing the mother's room, where you'll find medical equipment set up for her and all these decorations and cards from friends and family wishing her well. It's truly one of those moments where objectively, you know you're correct for doing what you're doing, but subjectively you get that moment of, you know, are we the baddies here? And then upstairs you'll find everything you're after. This is where the boys' criminal enterprise is based, with a bunch of weapons in various states of repair and a few 3D printers, which means they were apparently branching out and making their own modifications themselves. I think this might be more common than a lot of people realize. It's become a small crisis that these modifications to make normally semi-automatic weapons fully automatic are just a sketchy download away for basically anyone. How do I know this? Well, Twitter, of course. Ever since Elon bought the place, it's just been the Wild West. I didn't even seek out this stuff. It just shows up on my For You page. I don't even know what For You is even supposed to mean anymore. So ultimately, this one just feels really bad to play. You can justify it as you are playing as a police officer just doing your job, because after all, what the brothers were up to here was definitely super illegal. Their ties to and contacts with organized crime will also be super valuable information. However, these guys were obviously pushed into a corner and were just doing whatever they could do, not to gain wealth and power, but simply just to help their mom. It truly is really tragic. Whenever I end up killing a suspect in this mission, because just as any other mission in this game, there are split-second moments where, you know, it's either them or you. It always just feels bad. So, right when I went back to get some footage for this video, one of the brothers absolutely jump scared me, and I just mag dumped into him, and then his mother walked in right after, and I was just like,
on my 6.
I had to take a break after that one. Personally, I've been in a similar situation to the Tran brothers. My mother had her own battle with cancer over a decade ago. She's fine now, she beat it, but the whole situation was a very impactful and traumatic experience to me and my whole family. A really good friend of mine around the same time even lost his own mother to a battle with cancer. The impacts of this terrible disease are horrific. As a Canadian, I thankfully could rely on our universal healthcare system to get my family through this situation financially, albeit at times feeling absolutely helpless by the wait times necessary, but that's not a discussion for this video. However, if I was a citizen of this fictional world of Los Sueños, you know, if I didn't have insurance nor the funds to get the care my mother needed, I don't even know the depths of what I'd go to at least make the smallest difference in her outcome. As every man knows deep down inside them, any boy would go to the ends of the earth to save their mother. Thanks for watching.